for pivoting, making sure that our focus is taking care of the most vulnerable, and that's exactly what this continuation and enhancement of the existing subsidy does.
There's a singular message from today. It is a message to renters in the city of Los Angeles. To the renters of Los Angeles, help is on the way, relief is here, and the city of Los Angeles has your backs.
A few years ago, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell, the LAPD, and several community partners initiated the Midnight Stroll, an after-hours drop-in center to meet the health and safety needs of unsheltered members of the transgender community. In response to recent violence, the outreach operation was recently expanded beyond the Hollywood area to MacArthur Park. Check this out.
Today we're doing a wonderful outreach here in MacArthur Park. It's called the Midnight Stroll. We go out at least once a month, and we're interfacing in the community with those that are experiencing some form of homelessness. We've been doing the Midnight Stroll for the last 4.5 years.
We've gone about and done these midnight strolls in Hollywood and other parts of the city. This is the first time we've actually done one here in MacArthur Park. And what brought us here, what brought them here, is an unfortunately ugliness of a hate crime against transgender women that were in this park.
LAPD is here to also partner up, and we're here to help. That's basically what we're just trying to do. We're just really trying to help the community.
Me da mucha tristeza a mí personalmente. ¿Por qué? Porque yo misma personalmente yo he experienciado crímenes de odio. No nomás 1, 2, 3 veces. Y soy una sobreviviente de que yo sé, a pesar de que soy ciudadana mexicana-americana de aquí, de este país, me han discriminado mis derechos como ser humano, de empleo X, solo por ser humano.
I'm thankful that the police department, working in concert with those victims, were able to identify the individuals responsible and brought them before the justice system. Tonight also is about the persons experiencing homelessness, which you see surrounding us all about, who are also members of the transgender population. We have community resources, St. John Clinics and others that are here to provide needed support. HIV testing, food bags, supplies, and really not just those essentials, but also the essential of a spirit. That we're here, we stand with you, we will not tolerate hate, we will not tolerate these attacks, and that this community is unified as one.
We're out here to try to make a difference.
I'm so grateful that we live in a city who's very supportive of our community.
We are determined to make Los Angeles a sanctuary for all communities, and we are determined to heal our community one step at a time.
Violence against the Asian American and Pacific Islander community has seen a disturbing uptick in recent months, but city officials from the LAPD to the mayor are combating this problem head-on.
Hello everyone, and welcome to No Place for Hate, a live conversation on hate crimes, hate incidents, and how the city of Los Angeles is responding. We are seeing record violence and discrimination against Asian Pacific Islanders, primarily due to false narratives and bigoted lies surrounding COVID-19.
We know in the wake of the recent incidents that have been targeting members of the API community that there are concerns about language barriers, about a cultural reluctance to come forward. And I want to underscore as strongly as I can that in our office, we're going to embrace you, we're going to listen to you, we're going to believe you, we're going to stand up for you, and do everything we can to protect you.
We have the authority now to investigate, to level penalties in discrimination in private commerce, in education, in employment, and in housing. So when we say hate has no place in Los Angeles, we mean that in 2 ways. Literally, there is no place for hate in Los Angeles, but there is no part of Los Angeles, whether it's our professional, our personal, our recreational, or our residential spheres, that we will accept hate and there will be punishment for those who bring it.
Report, report, report. Even if a non-criminal act occurs, this may be words, it may be epithets, it may be the posting in a public place of something that is discriminatory. Those hate incidents must be reported to prevent those incidents from escalating into crimes of violence.
We must all rise to support our fellow Angelenos from discrimination, bigotry, and hate.
And while the mayor and others take a firm stand against overt acts of hate, LAPD Chief Michael Moore took time to promote a program that emphasizes the other side of that coin. Here's the Just Say Hello campaign.
Why do you hate us? Why do you hate us?
Men hate each other because they fear each other. And they fear each other because they don't know each other. And they don't know each other because they don't communicate with each other. The Just Say Hello campaign is reminding all of us that the value of this community is knowing and welcoming the diversity. And you can't welcome it and embrace it unless you're willing to step forward and break the ice between people who look different than you or may look, who may dress differently, and you have like this barrier of like, well, how do I talk with that individual? Well, just say hello. And a simple gesture of making eye contact and expressing good morning, good afternoon, wish you well today, as an opportunity to humanize yourself. Here this last year, we've seen just an explosion, if you will, of hate, of instances of verbal abuse, intimidation, and actual attacks on the Asian Pacific Islander community as an example. The Just Say Hello is yet another effort by the department to join in with other community organizations and entities in a campaign of reaching across those barriers, of breaking those barriers down, and establishing the humanity behind this badge and the person that is willing and able to help and serve and support every community here throughout Los Angeles.
Ahora que se están ya relajando un poco las reglas, esta es una oportunidad para recordar a las personas que todos somos humanos, no importa su color de piel, de dónde son, qué idioma habla, pero un simple saludo puede ayudarnos a recordarlos que todos somos miembros de la comunidad.
And we can welcome a smile once we get rid of these face coverings here and at some point, but at least what we can do is express verbally how you doing and wish you well and just say hello.
Councilmember Joe Buscaino continues to battle the humanitarian crisis of homelessness in Los Angeles. One initiative to help the problem is taking shape, literally. Council District 15 now has a tiny home village.
It pains me to know in my district that nearly 2,000 individuals are unsheltered. We have to lead with urgency and help solve this humanitarian crisis in our city.
Wow, this makes my heart happy to see the progress here.
The tiny home village is yet one more effort to quickly house folks from the encampments and sidewalks and into our tiny home village, which we are so proud to launch. And it's going to be able to provide 75 units. These are individual units that, get this, take 4 hours to assemble. These are 75 units directly across from Harbor College. Really proud of this particular project because we are going to house homeless students that attend Harbor College. There's a lot of students in our region that's couch surfing, and we're going to dedicate 25 of these units for students at Harbor College. We celebrate the life and legacy of Saint Joseph, who is the patron saint of the Catholic Church. In fact, I was named after Saint Joseph, and Saint Joseph teaches us to help the most vulnerable among us, to help those in need. And this is why, this is my why. If you know of someone who needs help and needs shelter, we have the countywide 211 system that you can call and notify to get their lives back in order and move towards self-sufficiency.
Only 3 short months ago, we reported that Skateland in Northridge would be shutting its doors to skaters, but repurposed for the homeless with help from the nonprofit Hope of the Valley. Well, that collaboration has come to fruition, and Councilmember John Lee was there to help cut the ribbon.
3, 2, 1, let it drop. Yeah, there it is.
My husband Alex and I were noticing the increase in homelessness, and we wanted to be part of the solution.
I was sitting in my office and my phone rang, and I answered it, and on the other line somebody said, "Ken?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "This is Alex Trebek." In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, is this like the Alex Trebek, or is this Alex Trebek from Wichita, Kansas?
Alex went out of his way to find out what was going on in the community, and he found that Hope of the Valley was very proactive in helping to reduce homelessness. So he jumped on board.
This building behind me has incredible memories. First time I skated here at Skateland was in 1978.
I loved this place. I was a regular skater here every Sunday, every Thursday, and every Tuesday morning.
First of all, thank the Fleming family for their dedication, not only to the center, but for everything that you've done for our community over those years.
Skateland was started by my mom and dad, and from that point on, the rink just grew. My brother had been doing a lot of volunteer work with Hope of the Valley and found out that they really were looking for a facility to grow the organization. This is probably the biggest, I think, legacy that could be left for our family.
I'm sad to see that this is the end of an era, but I am embracing the 107 people that will be able to call this their home.
Un mensaje para todas las personas que no tienen hogar. Estamos aquí para servirles y la organización existe por ustedes. Nosotros somos la esperanza del Valle.
We can do this together, so I thank you all. Take care, and if you can, take care of another. Thank you.
The Autry Museum reopens April 6th. Councilmember Cedillo encourages seniors to get vaccinated, and the controller has a new report on illegal dumping. These stories up next on City Beat.
After closing their doors for over a year, the Autry Museum in Los Feliz will reopen to the public Tuesday, April 6th. The reopening will feature brand new on-site exhibits, including Masters of the American West, What's Your Story, Women in the Archives, and more. Admission to the museum is free through April 18th with advance reservations. For more information, visit theautry.org/visit. Councilmember Gil Cedillo launches a new Spanish and English video public service campaign to encourage Latino seniors to get a COVID-19 vaccine shot. The Get Vaccinated campaign hopes to reach communities of color where vaccination rates are low. Vaccination sites in District 1 can be found in Pico Union, Chinatown, Westlake, Glassell Park, and Lincoln Park. Find out more at gilcedillo.com. LA City Controller Ron Galperin shared a report this week that calculates an overall 450% increase in illegal dumping between 2016 and 2020. The Controller's report is accompanied by an interactive dashboard that maps and tracks the locations of cleanup requests over the past 4 years. The report celebrated LA Sanitation Report's increased efforts. However, it does note that citizen deterrents to illegal dumping are lacking. Residents can view the report as well as the illegal dumping dashboard at lacontroller.com/illegal dumping.
We know about the Boys and Girls Club. We are familiar with the YMCA. Well, here's another not-for-profit organization you may not know about. An organization that was deemed essential to its community during COVID-19, Brotherhood Crusade.
The Los Angeles Brotherhood Crusade is a nonprofit based in South Los Angeles that was founded in 1968 by my late father, Walter Vermont, out of a social justice movement. Our institutional leader, Danny Bakel Sr., led the organization for 35 years, focusing on health, education, economic development, institutional building, youth development to ensure that young people are able to thrive, learn, and grow. During this time, we provided 2,500 students with Chrome tablets and hotspots in South Los Angeles. But more importantly, as I mentioned, through this pandemic, we were also able to weekly support our families, 25 families a week, with monetary support ranging from $300 to $1,000 per family. It is clear that we made a conscious decision for 53 years to be in a community where folks who have been disconnected have the ability to be connected with partners who care about them. Love your community. When you love the young people that you serve, it is like you know that you would fight for them in every step of the way. For me, I look at how do we advocate, how do we support families who have the least in our communities, but also understanding it is no fault of their own. Children want to thrive, and so we all have a responsibility to say, how do we invest in communities to even the playing field?
It's widely known as the birthplace of Los Angeles. Olvera Street at El Pueblo is composed of dozens of unique and cultural gems, and they want you to know they are open for business.
In the shadow of the City Hall is Olvera Street, birthplace of Los Angeles. Folks come here and unknowingly walk over the early settlement's first water ditch.
El Pueblo is the birthplace of the city of Los Angeles. This is where the whole city began. Olvera Street is open for visitors to take food. There's outdoor dining and of course some of our other wonderful puestos that sell all kinds of artisan crafts.
Este negocio se abrió aquí en la Placita Olvera en el año de 1970. So tenemos ya, bueno, la familia de mi esposo por 51 años.
Whether you're a tourist or a local, you can walk in here on any given day and we will manufacture something right in front of you. We'll stamp your name on it, make it customized and kind of personal. Hippie style bags, bracelets, belts with names on them. And we do it in front of the customer.
It's really important that we keep interacting with our guests. So we offer free online digital tours, some on the founding of early Los Angeles, some on the America Tropical Interpretive Center, and a brand new tour debuting this month on historic women of El Pueblo. Please visit our website, elpueblo.lacity.org, or call us at 213-628-1274.
Take art classes with Canoga Park Youth Arts Center. Explore strange cooking methods with Richard Foss, or check out a virtual demonstration of roller dance skating. All this up next on Virtual Things to Do.
Spring is in the air. The Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs and the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center are teaming up to bring you on-demand art lessons from the comfort of your own home. Starting April 5th and running through May 28th, kids can explore the spring session of free and weekly art lessons, including step-by-step guides on drawing, architecture, and art appreciation, highlighting many celebrated artists from around the globe. Lessons will be featured on the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center Facebook and YouTube channels. Do you love to cook? Culinary historian and author Richard Foss at the LA Public Library are offering a free lecture on the origins and developments of cooking equipment and culinary techniques in unusual circumstances and hostile environments. On Saturday, April 10th at 10:30 a.m., you are invited to The Strangest Cooking Methods in the World with Richard Foss, a lighthearted and virtual history lesson that will take you on a savory journey and answer the intriguing question, what do people cook when fuel is not available? From using the heat from volcanoes to hot springs and car engines, this event is sizzling with some fun facts about cooking methods dating back from prehistory to present day. So if you have a passion for food that goes beyond a knife and fork, register for this event by visiting the link at lapl.org/events. Lace up those roller skates and get ready for a fun workout and virtual demonstration. The LA Public Library and their cultural series, LA Made, bring you LA Roller Girls. On Thursday, April 8th at 4 p.m., these top-ranked LA champion skaters are roller dance skating their way to bring awareness to all the health and mental benefits of skating. This 1-hour free skate lesson will stream live on YouTube and Facebook and feature the nationally recognized and certified roller skate instructors, LA Roller Girls, as they offer valuable tips on balance, safety, and equipment, all from a controlled environment. If roller skating is your way to get in shape and stay healthy, check out the LA Roller Girls. For more information, visit lapl.org/events. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
In our feature this week, we talk with Brenda Barnett of LA Animal Services, who says that LA is not completely there yet, but we are getting close to becoming a no-kill shelter. Maria Hall Brown has the story.
Despite the struggles of the pandemic, the City of Los Angeles shelters reached a milestone this year by achieving a no-kill status in 2020. How did that happen?
Well, it was sort of magical, actually, and the city's not really going to call ourselves a no-kill city yet, because it was a different year, but we did achieve the 90.49 life save rate, which under normal circumstances would be considered no-kill. So we wanted to celebrate anyway all of the people who made that possible. I mean, everything from our national friends like Best Friends has been quite a champion, ASPCA has been wonderful, and then we've got New Hope Partners, rescues who pull animals, adopters, foster volunteers, nearly 3,000 volunteers that just help us. Sure. And then there are people in the streets who do things to help animals that never even meet our radar because they're just out there doing their thing and they're not part of the system. So it really has been a whole village effort, and there have been people here much longer than me who have been working on trying to achieve this, and we wanted to celebrate them this year.
All right, as strange as this question is, did the pandemic help? Because it seemed like absolutely everybody adopted a dog or a pet for comfort, company, and exercise, and our whole safer at home, and then can't do anything except maybe go hiking and walking around the neighborhood. Was there a huge influx of adoptions?
Well, there was a big influx of adoptions and people who wanted to foster pets. Oh. At one point, we actually ran out of foster pets, and we had to wait until some more came in before we could give them foster pets to take care of. So I think, but what I think is the most remarkable about it is the return rates. Our return rates for dogs who were adopted or cats who were adopted during that time is lower than it's been in the past. So not only did they adopt them, they kept them. They fell in love with them, and probably, if I were to guess, I would say, okay, you're at home with them all day. I know where my dogs were all day. They were circled. I was, working mostly from Zoom and on the computer, and my dogs were always in the room with me, occasionally making a little appearance in a Zoom meeting, invited or not. But they were there with us. And so, it gave people time to let them adjust to their new surroundings and their new lifestyle, and they didn't bring them back. So it was a win-win for the animals, for sure.
All right, thanks so much. Great to talk to you, Brenda.
Thanks, nice to see you again.
That's it for this edition. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.
welcome to the Los Angeles City
Inspiration.
Council. Today is Tuesday 6. I'm Nuri Martinez, the President of the City Council. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield present.
Bonin.
Bonin present.
Buscaino.
Here.
Cedillo.
Here.
De Leon.
Here.
Harris Dawson.
Present.
Koretz.
Present.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee. Martinez.
Present.
O'Farrell.
Present.
Price. Rahman.
Here.
Ridley Thomas.
Here.
Rodriguez. 12 members present and a quorum, Madam President. Members present and a quorum, Madam President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes of March 31st, 2021.
Mr. Harris Dawson moves and Mr. Krikorian seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Buscaino moves and Ms. Rahman seconds. Next.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and it's time for the flag salute.
Mr. Blumenfield, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Yes, rise, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield. Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and run through the agenda.
Madam President, would council like all items to go forthwith today?
Without objection, that will be the order. Next.
There has been a request to continue item 51 to April 14th.
Without objection, that will be the order.
Items 1 through 10 are items noticed for public hearing. A motion is required for item 1. There is a technical correction on item number 4. The street lighting district is in Council District 2. Items 11 through 33 are items for which public hearings have been held. A motion is required for item 32. Items 34 through 50 are items for which public hearings have not been held. Item 51, which has been continued, is an item scheduled for closed session. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Without objections, those items are not before us, members. Do any of you wish to call any of these items special? Mr. Blumenfield?
It's item 43, just for comment.
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Yes, Madam President, item 47 and item 29, please. And we wish to revise the attached artwork for item number 47. Those are the two items. And the technical amendments for 29, and the CEO is here to address those issues as deemed appropriate, Madam President.
Go ahead and introduce your technical amendment on 29.
All right, thank you very much, Madam President. Essentially presents itself as a substitute in terms of item number 29. It's rather voluminous. So, Madam President, with your permission, may we ask the CEO just to walk through those specific things so that we are clear that we got it all right? Does that work?
Yes. The CEO's in our meeting.
Yes, I think Ms. Barclay is here and is up to speed as to the instructions that need to be carried forward.
Sure, just give me just a second. Ms. Barclay, are you there?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
City Administrative Officer's Office, City Homeless Coordinator. The substitute motion that's before you today has a number of amendments to the actions that were taken in homelessness and poverty. And they represent some adjustments that needed to be made to the funding for the project at Arroyo Seco in Council District 14 to use some CRF funding rather than 100% CDBG, so that equipment, pallets, other types of equipment could be purchased for that site now rather than waiting on the CDBG amendment for that, just to expedite the construction of the site. It doesn't change the amount of funding, it just changes the sources. The other changes included a change to the number of tents and corresponding funding for the Safe Sleep site in Council District 13. So it was determined that that site could accommodate 3 additional spaces, and so the funding was adjusted accordingly. And then also, most significantly, the changes to recommendation number 11 to adjust the number of beds at 6909 North Sepulveda, and to confirm that the service provider for that site will be Home at Last, and also to add an additional 44 beds that would be contracted by SSG Hopix with various subcontractors. And those beds that Hopix has confirmed that they can identify these beds and have them open by the April 16th deadline. So this is needed to help us be as confident as possible as we can that we can meet the deadline for 5,300 beds by April 16th. And so there are recommended funding, there's funding recommended in this amendment for that. And then and then corresponding contract authority. And the last change is to add $81,000 for furniture, fixtures, and equipment at the Roadmap of Bridge Home site on Riverside in Council District 4. That site we have, as you may recall, the services funding, since it's a family site, is being covered by Measure H under the existing family contract that PATH has. However, and because of that, usually we allocate furniture, fixtures, and equipment with the service funding. And so that was just a gap that we just realized that we had for this site. And so PATH is ready to purchase the equipment to open the site by April 16th. They just needed the funding. So those are the changes to the recommendations that were approved by the Homelessness and Poverty Committee.
Okay, now go ahead. I will second that.
Thank you very much, Madam President. That's the extent of what I need to do on item number 29. So if we wish to dispose of it, I stand ready.
Okay, do you have an amending motion for item 47 as well?
That is, the revised attached artwork for item number 47 is available, has been distributed. And that's the extent of what needs to happen. Just the revised attached artwork for item number 47.
Thank you, Mr. Riley Thomas. That's been circulated as well. Do you have any other items?
No, that's the extent of what I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon.
Madam President, file item number 41 for public comment.
What item? Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
41.
41 for comments. Ms. Rahman?
Item 32 for a comment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Koretz?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move approval of item 1, an application for a determination of public convenience or necessity for the sale of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption at Pacific Market, Fox Plaza, located at 2121 South Avenue of the Stars, Suite 180.
Is there a second? I will second that for
Second.
you.
Second.
I'll second that for you, Mr. Koretz.
Thank you.
Mr. Koretz, do you have any other items?
No, that's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President. For item number 32, I want to move the Public Safety Committee report recommendations and hold for comment.
Second?
I'll second that.
Second, hold on. Mr. Buscaino seconds that. Do you have any other items, Ms. Rodriguez?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, which items are available for us to vote on?
Now available are items 11 through 28, 30, 31, and 33.
Okay, let's go ahead and prepare to vote on those items. Please call the roll.
Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin,
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino,
Aye.
Cedillo,
Aye.
De Leon,
Aye.
Harris Dawson,
Yes.
Koretz,
Aye.
Krikorian,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye. Aye.
O'Farrell,
Aye.
Price, Rahman,
Yes.
Ridley Thomas,
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Okay.
14 ayes, these items are adopted.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and move on to public comment. Go ahead and read out the call-in information, followed by the city attorney.
Thank you. As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. Finally, when you hear the last 4 digits of your phone number called out, press *6. Let me repeat, call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press pound. Then press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. Finally, when you hear the last 4 digits of your phone number called out, press *6. Thank you.
To members of the public calling in, when it's your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak on. You have 1 minute to speak, up to 3 minutes total, and if you wish, 1 minute for general public comment. Please speak on the items first before providing general public comment. We'll tell you when your time's up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on topic, or if we can't tell whether you're on topic, you'll get one brief warning from me or the president. And if you don't immediately get clearly on topic or against right off topic, you'll forfeit the rest of your time and we'll move on to the next speaker. We'll take 40 minutes total of public comment. The items that are open for public comment are items 1 through 10, 29 as changed per the CAO's reading of the substitute motion, and items 34 through 50. So that's 1 through 10, 29, and 34 through 50. 51 was continued. Finally, for members of the public calling in to speak, as soon as you hear someone address you, either by reading out the last 4 digits of your phone number or other identifying information, if you're calling on a block number, you're live in the council meeting and it's your turn to speak. Please press *6 right away to tell us which items you want to speak on. We understand that you may be listening to the meeting on a computer, channel 35, other device. If you are, please keep one ear to the phone though, because there's a slight time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast. And if you're only listening to the broadcast, when we read out your identifying information, you may not press *6 right away, and we may think you're no longer on the line and move on to the next person. Also, if you're listening on another device, please turn down the volume on those devices immediately because of the time delay and feedback. It's going to cause a lot of confusion if you're listening on the other devices. Thank you very much, and we are ready to take public comment.
Let's go ahead and start with the first speaker.
Caller ending in 6311, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the
morning,
items you'd like to speak on.
Good. General public comment.
You have 1 minute, go ahead.
Good morning, members of the Los Angeles City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Elise Swanson, President and CEO of the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce. Our community has said yes to solutions to help address the homeless crisis. We have supported 2 shelters, a Project Room Key navigation center, and have established an emergency fund for grants to those experiencing financial distress. But we need your help. We're seeing an influx of homeless into our community. We have empty shelter beds at this time, and we urge you as a council to adopt amendments to 4118 and 5611 that will prohibit camping within 500 feet of a shelter. It's so critical to support those individuals that have come into shelters for housing, and it's debilitating to see encampments right up against our shelters. We're a compassionate community, but I'm just afraid that it's going to be impossible to get more support for additional housing solutions.
Thank you, Speaker.
Unless
Caller ending in 6047, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
I'd like to make general public comment and item number 31.
You have 2 minutes.
Actually, Madam President.
I'm sorry, item 31's been voted on, so you can go ahead and talk about it
Oh,
in
sorry.
general public comment.
Just general public comment.
You
then,
have
please.
1 minute. Go ahead.
My name's Elliot Kuhn. I'm from the Northeast San Fernando Valley, and I'm the owner and operator of Cottonwood Urban Farm. I'm here to offer public comment about kind of the homelessness issue that I think is disproportionately affecting our area. I've lived and worked here for over a decade, and in the past year, I've personally witnessed the degradation of a full residential block in our neighborhood be taken over by an encampment. But this encampment has become insulated space that cannot be touched by anyone that has any sort of law enforcement ability. I've personally witnessed open drug dealing, gang activity, arson, breaking into businesses in broad daylight. And I understand there's lawsuits facing the city, and because of COVID, things have been loosened, which were both birthed in good intentions. But I think the unexpected consequences is housed individuals that are engaged in nefarious activity are using these spaces to conduct unlawful activity that totally robs our neighborhood of an access to hospitals and local businesses. And I think encampments should not be allowed in residential neighborhoods, period. And I think on top of that, moving towards getting individuals housing, healthcare, supportive programs.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 1148, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Speaker, are you there?
Caller ending in 1148, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name
Hello.
and the items you'd like to speak on.
Yes, I'd like to speak on all items, please, and general public comment, please.
Okay, Speaker, you have 3 minutes for items 1 to 10 and 29, and 34 to 50, followed by 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Did you say 29 also, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Apologize to Ms. Autry for your gross disrespect, Martinez. Today, all votes, all these items will be voted yes on, just like every other day. So public, what you're watching is theater. Vote swaps, it's called. The bedrock of LA City Council corruption. Item number 31, another illumination City Hall, $120. You can't argue. I have nothing against Greek independence.
Speaker,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry to cut in, Speaker, but we actually voted on 31. You're free to talk about it in general public comment if you want, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant 37.
Okay, my apologies.
Okay. You can take that 120 and add it to Dawson's $10 million for luxury offices over the last 10 months, 20 months. Number 40, Sanitation cleanup at $37,400 for CD10. Why don't you take some of that community build money that has been wasted, Ridley Thomas, on contracts for your personal hits on people, violence, I understand, on 2 people. Why don't you take some of that money and really clean up the community, Ridley Thomas? You haven't done anything for 30 years, but suck the blood out of the black community. You're a disgrace to humanity. Number 41, D. Leon, Quasar's clone. This is such a disgusting, low-life attempt to engage in legal remedies to obtain accountability for schools, parks, and private properties for the Exide battery cleanup. This is something that's a disgrace to humanity, that this hasn't been taken care of. This is the lowliness of the LA Sleazy Council. These are hundreds of families being affected by this, and this is just posturing. D. Leon. Street banner for Mid-City Neighborhood Council, number 47. You people have turned the neighborhood councils into a joke. You put your own people in there, Dawson and the rest of you clowns. Put your own people in there, Ridley, Uncle Thomas, to actually run the place. You can't say 5 words without a representative from the council office coming in and bogarting the place, including Brown Act violations. I think I'll just about go on to my general public comment now.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
People's motion number 21-0001, no city council person can hold the office outside their current term if city homelessness is not reduced by 25% in their current term. Is anybody in the public really stupid enough to believe that these people under Martinez, she couldn't, with her leadership, these blood-sucking, money-grubbing people that have wasted the HHH money are going to do anything to solve homelessness? The problem is them and their vote-trading policies. Public, we must get rid of them. I'd like to adjourn in memory of the 3 to 8 homeless people that will die on the street daily because of LA City Council corrupt policy. We the people must remove all land use planning away from the city council.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Speaker.
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 5295, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Martha, resident of Panorama City, and I would like to add a general public comment on item number 31.
So we voted on 31, but you're free to talk about it in general public comment for a minute. Please go ahead.
Will do. Good morning. Families are unable to use our parks. Children are restricted from utilizing our open spaces, and citizens feel unsafe to walk on our sidewalks. Although we sympathize for the homeless community, this is unfair for both residents and homeless to have this type of quality of life. This has been an ongoing concern of residents and business owners in Panorama City in the last 12 months. There has been a spike in various locations being populated by encampments. Community members feel unsafe on our streets, which discourages utilizing the parks and businesses in our community. And businesses are also losing revenue because of the large encampments that are set up nearby. Families and individuals have no other option but to resort to finding other parks and businesses outside of Panorama City, which are all well maintained and no homeless encampments are allowed. Our residents and businesses should be a priority and have access to clean sidewalks and safe parks. Despite improvements in other parts of the Fernando Valley, homelessness city.
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 4214, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Steph Hirsch, general public comment.
You have a minute. Please begin.
Thank you. As I said, my name is Steph Hirsch. I'm a resident of CD5. I'm a member of Bend the Arc Jewish Action SoCal, and I'm calling today to condemn the forced mass tailored eviction of Echo Park Lake. I'm calling to condemn the City Council for their head in the sand response, with a few exceptions. The canceled meetings that occurred in the immediate aftermath of national news with headlines like this one in the LA Times on the 3rd. A week later, here's what happened to some of the homeless people booted from Echo Park Lake. Quoting Olga, a former resident, she ended up in a hotel room in Century City expecting to stay for months, but now with travel restrictions easing as COVID-19 cases continue to decline, the hotel is reopening and homeless people there under government-funded Project Roomkey must leave. So I'm calling to condemn the absurd and gross display of police resources in the form of helicopters and hundreds of police in riot gear armed with so-called less than lethal weapons, which an earlier report about the brutality witnessed in the summer demonstrated that they do not know how to use, nor do...
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 4024, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
My name is Pussy Pooch.
Which items would you like to
My
speak on?
address is 564 South Main Street,
So which items
Los
would you-
Angeles, California, 90013.
Speaker, which
I'd like
items
to
would
speak on all items,
you have?
starting with item
You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
1 through 10, 11 through 33, and item 29. Is that okay with you, Mr. Pimple Face?
Begin.
And general public comment, not to forget, asshole. May I proceed, sir?
I told you a while ago you could. Please begin.
Oh, thank you, asshole. Now, regarding item 37, Mr. Dawson has always been stealing money for his lavish hotels for his girlfriends in the hood. Fuck item 37. Item number 10, fat Curly wasted on contracts. Hey, Curly, sucking the blood out of people, Curly. You're a dumb nigger. That's item 10, 42 USC
Madam
1983. Fuck
Yes,
you.
Mr. Harrison.
Item 47.
Madam
Excuse
President,
me?
Yes,
point
Mr.
of
Ray
order.
Thomas.
Excuse me?
Racist
got the
speech.
floor.
Let's
Chair,
stop
I
the
got the
speaker's
floor.
clock.
Is
I
simply
got the
intolerant.
floor.
And I would
54
respectfully
950
request
Brown Act. You're
that this
violating my
speaker
civil
not
rights,
be
Mr.
allowed-
Curley.
Madam Clerk, can you please stop the clock?
May I proceed, Mommy?
Hold on for just a second, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Rayleigh Thomas?
Thank you, Madam President. The use of racist language, hate speech is provocative, it's disruptive, it's incendiary, and I think we are well within our rights to not allow that to proceed. And I would hereby request that we not allow people to use such language aimed at any member of this council, the N-word or anything comparable to it, if there is anything comparable to it. And I think that this speaker has violated in a very gross way the very sensibilities that we stand for. And to that extent, I would respectfully request that he not be allowed to continue his remarks for today.
Thank you, sir.
Here.
I recommend we continue letting the speaker speak.
Press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. You know, when I go to this is my general public comment. When I go to the Pussy and Pooch bar and penthouse off of 564 South Main Street, there's nothing wrong with Pussy and Pooch. They get my dog a beer. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaker,
yeah, you tell them, Pooh. You tell them. Now, going back to 310-477-6565, You're a bunch of fucking criminals. You're fucking corrupted. All of you. And mommy is a morbid, fat slob who needs to go to jail for violating my civil rights and not letting me be heard. Come on, mommy. Don't you believe in the Keene Act? Don't you believe in the Bain Act? Stop making threats, Mr. Pimple Face. Let me speak. Let me vent. Let me rant. Let me join you in a public hearing and participate, Curly. 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 Curly, curly, curly. Curly, curly, curly. Man, and what about you, Assembly Bill Kevin De Leon?
Okay,
You're
your
no
time is
shit
up.
about homelessness.
Expired.
Next speaker. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 2554, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Good morning. My name is Juan Hasso, Jeff Public Comment. I'd like to ask the City Council to continue to take action against the homelessness. I'm a homeowner in District 6. I'm also a school administrator within District 6 for the last 20 years. On April 3rd, Chi Mung was walking her dog around her home in her neighborhood, a place where she thought she was safe. Days prior to the murder of Miss Miss Montoya was arrested for assault with a deadly weapon after attacking a woman. Montoya was released without bail due to COVID-19 restrictions. There was one other elementary school within blocks of my own school community, and there are 5 homeless camps that our parents and students must walk by. 2 of these camps are steps away from the school entrance. As I mentioned, I'm a school administrator. Therefore, I'm respectfully asking all of the members to please take continued action against homelessness, especially around the schools. I ask you to take 30 seconds and ask yourself if your wife or husband, mother, father, children, grandchildren
Thank you.
had to ask
Thank you,
this.
speaker.
Caller ending in 2240, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
My name is Sabrina Johnson. I live in CD10, and I'd like to speak on number 38, 40, 42, and general public comment.
So you have 3 minutes for those items, followed by 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Wow, what an honor. Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say I agree with Mark. We should ban the N-word. There's no reason for that to be allowed, and fuck the lawsuits. You get sued all the time. Who cares? Ban the N-word. Starting on item number 38. Okay, Joe Buscaino funding $37,000 for overtime for sweeps. I just want to point out there's an error in this motion. It says Care Plus cleanups where it should say sweeps. Just from a money standpoint, you really should have that word in there. Otherwise, there's nothing to signify the violent displacement of human beings, which is really the bulk of the cost here. Okay, number 40, MRT, $90K to the Bureau of Street Services for trash pickup and street maintenance in District 10. Love this. Just want to say that I really hope this includes public trash receptacles. We have so few public trash cans in CD10. There's none on my block. There's like one at 3rd and Normandy, and then they just nothing for blocks and blocks. I guess maybe this is because it's so close to the border of CD13, and well, Lord knows Mitch isn't going to put any more trash cans in Koreatown. Last time he did that, homeless people threw things away in them, and that makes him sad. Number 42 is a contract with the propertyroom.com for the auctioning off of unclaimed personal property, which I'm putting in air quotes, which is like, okay, all this stuff that the cops essentially lifted off people. Whatever they don't keep for themselves, they now get to auction off for money because apparently they don't have enough of that. I really fucking hate you idiots. Yeah, and also I just want to let's go to general public comment. I want to talk about how y'all use these two callers that call in all the time and say racist and misogynistic stuff. You use that as an excuse to try to silence the rest of us, to try to silence your legitimate critics. And it's really disingenuous, and nobody's falling for it. Nuri, you're the worst offender here on this one. Anytime anybody criticizes you, it's misogyny. So I really, I just fucking can't with you people. That's all. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Speaker.
Caller ending in 3665, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hello, this is Annie Tagan for general public comment.
You have a minute. Please begin.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the council. My name is Annie Tagan with Tobacco Free Kids. Our organization is among the growing number of coalition members of a coalition called LA Families Fighting Flavored Tobacco. I'm calling in today to encourage you to move decisively, I hope, to pass a comprehensive ordinance that ends the sale of flavored tobacco. These are products that come in bubblegum flavors for kids and cherry Swisher Sweets and menthol flavored tobacco products as well. So just like Los Angeles County and 70 other cities statewide, we want strong laws ending the sale of flavored tobacco products. It'll protect youth from accessing flavored and cheap tobacco products, and it will prevent a lifetime of tobacco addiction among Los Angeles youth. So I hope you'll join us and the growing number of Angelinos who are standing up to big tobacco and bring forward the flavored tobacco ordinance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Caller ending in 5555, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hi, this is Rabbi Jonathan Klein. I wish to speak in public comment.
Please begin, sir.
Thank you. Nice to hear old friends' voices now on council and a couple of new voices as well. My name is Rabbi Jonathan Klein, and I strongly support the Fire District 1 ordinance. I know you already took position, but I'm using public comment. My parents had a fire in their wood-framed home when I was younger. We lost everything, even our dog, Mickey. We should not leave it up to luck, especially for those scrapping by with whatever housing they can access, who assume the highest standards of safety built into their dwelling. And just as California's Field Act ensures that public school children are taught in earthquake-safe buildings, this ordinance ensures that Los Angeles families dwell in fire-safe buildings. The public assumes such basic safety standards. And it helps that non-combustible materials are far cheaper right now than traditional combustible construction materials. This ordinance will lead to lower construction costs, which will make housing more affordable, all the while protecting our most vulnerable populations. So I want to appeal to you to keep moving this forward and follow Council Members Blumenfield and Rodriguez's
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you.
Caller ending in 4208, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hi, it's Rob Kwan. I'd like to speak on general public comment.
You have a minute, Mr. Kwan. Please begin.
Thank you. Council President Martinez, I saw your letter, excited for the return to council chambers on May 18th, but I do have to apologize. All that time I spent telling you to fire Rick Coca, and clearly the work product from your communications department has fallen off the hill. I did find one passage particularly funny, that you were proud for the past year the council had adjusted and responded to the realities of the pandemic, especially when other legislative bodies were slow to act. Together, we upheld our responsibility to the people of LA and kept our government operating while supporting the safety of department staff. You literally refused to wear a mask around staff in council chambers for about 8 months. You canceled a third of your meetings. That's not upholding a responsibility to the people. Last week, you were completely silent on what happened at Echo Park Lake. Herb Wesson didn't like the guy all that much, but he wouldn't have been silent about that shit. Show some leadership. Dear God, for the good of the city, please.
Thank you,
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 7543, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Good morning, council members. My name is Lionel Mares from CD6. I'd like to speak on item 44, item 45, and general public comments.
So you have 2 minutes for the items, followed by 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Thank you. For item 44, I support the city advocating for the California safety stop. It is safer for everyone if people on bikes can treat stop signs like yield signs and would align the law with how people behave on the ground. Stopping at each stop sign causes impatient drivers to honk and or do unsafe maneuvers to pass bicyclists. Please support this common sense update to the California Vehicle Code. Moving on to item 45. I am advocating for the city to support e-bike rebates. If we're going to solve climate change, we need to incentivize people beyond vehicles. Also, if someone buys an electric car today, they get a rebate, but a much more environmentally friendly e-bike doesn't get the same treatment. So please support federal and state bills that are currently being considered. Moving on to general public comments.
Please, go ahead.
For my general comment, yes, thank you, Mr. Pablo. I would like to thank Councilmember Rahman for having one of her staff respond to my emails regarding the restrooms at Griffith Park. Because I'm a frequent hiker at Griffith Park, and the restrooms in Ferndale need to be upgraded. So there's no privacy doors whatsoever, and there's a playground and children and lots of people. So we need to upgrade the facilities, some of the facilities at Griffith Park. And that will conclude my general public comment. I yield the balance of my time. Thank you very much for having me today, council members and Mr. Pablo.
Thank you, Speaker.
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 8651, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Yes, my name is Tony Braganza. I'm the board secretary of our Homeowners Association, which is the Grove at Ridley HOA. We appreciate the efforts of Council President Nuri Martinez in trying to clean up the homeless, but along Ridley Street in Panorama City, which is directly in front of the American Legion, there are 7 tents and numerous numbers of parked cars. And, you know, they defecate, they urinate on the streets. There's graffiti all over our walls, and nothing's being done. I mean, CD6 cleans up once in a while, but, you know, it has been going on for 6 months. We can't believe it. We have friends and visitors coming to our homes and say, why is this happening here? I mean, they commit crimes, they deal drugs, they're very noisy at night. There is one motorhome that is parked along Ridley Street and uses a generator to generate electricity. The generator is very noisy. It keeps our homeowners awake.
Speaker. Thank you. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 2616, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn from Studio City, and I'd like to speak on, several items in a general public comment, if I may.
You have 3 minutes for the items open for comment, followed by 1 minute for general. Please begin, Mr. Previn.
Okay, the 200-bed tiny home village on Laurel Canyon Boulevard looks interesting, and it's about $4 million to operate it through 2023. So that's 2 years. Bloomingfield has one which is only 104 beds.
So,
and he goes to
Mr. Previn, what item are you on?
Yeah.
I don't think you're
I
talking
believe
about
it's 26.
Sorry,
Is that not okay?
I couldn't hear what you said. Please repeat.
I said 26.
26 has been voted on, Mr. Previn.
So let
how about is 27? Very hard because you guys got confusing connection, but so you don't mean to comment on that one? Okay, what are the?
I'll remind you, Mr. Previn, the items that are open for public comment are 1 through 10, 29, and 34 through 50.
Okay, so the lighting district, okay, I appreciate that. 29, I'll take a quick shot at, if I may. Is that what you said? 29?
Yes, please, Mr. Previn.
I noticed that it refers to the governor's order on the homeless housing and prevention program funds. One great idea would be to glance at the governor's order on the Brown Act, because I'm concerned that canceling Friday's meeting is something like
Mr. Previn, I'm quite sure that's not one of the items. You're free to talk about it in general if you want at the end, but that's definitely not an item on the agenda open for public comment. So let's stick with the items.
Would you allow me to talk about in a polite manner, would I ask politely, would it be possible to speak about the alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption at Fox Plaza in Koretz's district, or no?
If that's item 1, yes, if that's item 1.
I'm not sure. I can't keep track of these goddamn items. It's very, very confusing because you change the format going with Prime Gov, who I adore. This is a great agenda, and they're doing a great job. The only problem is when you click on a Twitter link, it causes a member of the public to have to sign in to the item. So we'll have to change that. Let's go to general public comment out of courtesy to the public and, of course, to Fauble. The general public comment, you ready?
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Previn.
Okay. This is a proposal for a anti-mansplaining ordinance in the city of Los Angeles. And the proposal is to call it the Ridley Thomas Krikorian No Mansplaining Ordinance. Although I've had a quick update here. Somebody would like a more progressive, let's call it the De Leon Bonin anti-mansplaining item, because ordinance is too legalistic and we're all worried about being arrested. I seriously think that when the people speak, even if the people are offensive, which I'm certainly not, we have to let them finish. And any filibustering, any gusts coming from the South from Mr. Ridley Thomas should be directed to the article in City Watch today, which is called The Greatest Sheriff in America. And of course, it's not Alex Villanueva. And it was not Lee Baca. And the problems that we are facing, you should read that article by Cherie.
Thank you, Mr. Previn.
Next speaker.
Caller ending in 9725, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
My name is Salvador Square, general comment on item 31.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm the Senior Director of Operations for El Super. I'd like to thank you for your time. The issue is concerning not only the neighbors and the businesses around us with the homeless issue that we have in the encampment, but also that the students are getting ready to return back to school, and they have to walk past this encampment. And when they're walking past the encampment, the people are giving comments to them if they want to buy drugs, et cetera, et cetera. They also, the encampment people move into the area of our lawn, into our receiving dock area, and there's a risk of them getting run over by the trucks at night when we can't see them. They leave trash, they leave syringes in the area. They've caused numerous fires in the area. On the side of the store between us and the DMV, we have our transformer, and that almost caught on fire, which would have been a critical issue for not only our customers, but our employees. And there's drug dealers that have pulled up to the encampment and give these homeless people drugs, and they hang out. The food banks come by, drop off food, they eat what they want to eat, they throw the rest on the floor, and they just leave all this trash.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 6523, press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Zarina, and I'd like to speak on item 38 in general public comment, please.
Go ahead. You have 1 minute for each.
Thank you, Nuri. Item 38, I am against this. I'd like to say stop wasting our money. $37K could cover a few years of leases for people. The city already has a funded sanitation department. Knock it off. People who are living on the streets in tents and in this city are the physical manifestation of the failure of this council, of the economic failure, of the policy failures, budgetary failures, oversight failures, financial mismanagement, corruption, and I'm not just speaking to those of you who are under FBI investigation. And you guys hate it. You will listen to anyone who calls in asking you for action as you have today, no matter how violent that action will be. And you will never listen to, you'll continue to ignore those of us who are trying to hold you guys accountable. As you sat here the last year with 2 meetings out of 3 a week, passing motions about statues and Walk of Fame ceremonies, okay? I would like to move on to my general public comment now.
Go ahead.
Great. I just want to emphasize that, for anyone who's calling in or allowing this council to scapegoat the poor or those with mental illness or addiction issues for the city's failures, you're wrong. Your target is the wrong person. Push your reps for accountability. Beyond that, Mr. O'Farrell, you know me. I'm not going to talk to you about Echo Park Lake today. I want to ask you to simply take that photo of Stacey Abrams down. She would be actively right now advocating and building a grassroots campaign against you, your communication, your policies. She is the people you sent the LAPD to arrest 2 weeks ago to break their arms, okay? She is the people you gave concussions to in my neighborhood. Have you talked to Isaac or Becca yet? Have you reached out to the reporters who were arrested? Have you reached out to your neighborhood council? That is a rhetorical question because the answer is no. Other than that, I'm going to use the spare time here to ask you, how long will the park be closed? When will this landscaping project actually start? Do you have a plan for the dozens of vendors who've lost the ability to make ends meet because the park has been closed? What is your plan for the people that you've...
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 3318, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Hi, yes, this is Richie Serdenko from People's City Council. I just want to say it's an honor to follow up Zarina Williams in that powerful comment. I'd like to comment on item 38 in general public comment, please.
You have a minute for each. Please begin.
Yeah, 38 is the approval of $37,000, money that was meant for redevelopment and community. Instead, that's money that's going to be transferred for services, transferred to LA Sand, spent on Care Plus, sweeps, not services, exactly what the Services Not Sweep Coalition, led by Streetwatch, LA Can, K-Town for All, have been arguing against. The CDC actually says no more sweeps. And this kind of stuff being pushed by conservative council members, Buscaino and O'Farrell, is just going to lead to something that they are not entirely prepared for. And Mitch, you're digging your own grave right now if you think this is something you and Buscaino want to travel down this path. And so I'll move on to general public comment.
Okay.
Council members Rahman and Bonin, I honestly think that you all are stepping up and doing the right thing and saying the right things. However, on the police commission meeting right now, Chief Moore just said that what happened at Echo Park got the full council approval and approval from the mayor. So council members Bonin and Rahman, if that's true, Ridley Thomas, De Leon, if you all are actually progressive, did this get full council approval? Mitch, you're blaming flashlights. You sent hundreds of cops into the neighborhood with riot gear and guns. Have you talked to Becca Strant or Isaac Shear, who had his arm broken? Becca was knocked unconscious and got concussion from the police. Shameful, Mitch. And we're on Mitch watch. You're not going to be able to show your face in fucking public, Mitch. Show up. People are going to be telling us where you're at.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker.
Caller ending in 9744, press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and the items you'd like to speak on.
Good morning, City Council. This is Jamie Penn. I'm the socialist who will now be the at-large representative for the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be giving a general public comment.
Please begin.
I just want to thank you, especially President Neri Martinez. After a year of ignoring your constituents and after the unseating of one of the worst establishment folks on the council, and then installing a militarized zone in our own city under the guise of park repairs, it's finally happening. Things are starting to change. And the people of this beautiful city are finally fed up and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And as they check in with their council office and they're reaching out to you all, for the most part, their concerns are falling on deaf ears, they're being misinformed, or at least they're reaching out to unconcerned individuals. I'm looking at you, Joey Buckets and Bob Blumenfield. Many of them are being flat out misinformed by their representatives. And you can tell by these calls. They think you can just arrest all of these people and the problem will just go all away. Y'all serve the landlords, you serve the corporate entities, but you aren't listening to us regular working people. You can't just hire folks to solve this, give them the absolute bare minimum in funding without any complementary programs that solve the root causes of these issues and expect it to be solved. We, the people of Los Angeles, have been making very clear demands for a year now, none of which have been met. Budget demands, policy demands, very clear demands.
Okay, that concludes public comment for today's meeting. Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote on the following items. Items 2 through 10, items 34 through 40, item 42, item 44 through 46, and items 48 through 50. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, if I may announce for items 2 through 10, the public hearing is now closed for these items. The tabulation of ballots shall take place in space 300 of 555 Ramirez Street on Wednesday, April 7th at 10 a.m. To access the live stream, join Zoom meeting ID 953-8628-4393, passcode prop218. The public announcement of the tabulation of ballots and consideration of the final ordinance will take place at City Council on Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. Thank you. With that, I'll take the vote on those items.
Go right ahead.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. These items are adopted.
Okay, let's move on to item number 1. It's motion introduced by Mr. Koretz. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon. De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. This item is adopted.
Okay, let's move on to item 29. This requires 2 votes, members. This was a substitute motion introduced by Mr. Ridley Thomas and seconded by me. So go ahead and let's vote on whether to substitute. So let's go ahead and open the roll on that.
Thank you. Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. The substitute motion is before council.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on that item now. Go ahead and call the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino,
Aye.
Cedillo,
Aye.
De Leon,
Aye.
Harris Dawson, Koretz,
Aye.
Krikorian,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
O'Farrell,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Rahman,
Yes.
Ridley Thomas,
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. The substitute motion is adopted.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Price?
yeah, point of order. I had an amendment also for this item.
Item 29?
That I'd like to have
We just voted on that.
29, for item 29.
We just voted on this, sir.
I know, that's what I'm asking. Is there any way to include another amendment with it at this point?
Give me just a second. Mr. Price, let me come back. I need to continue with the item. I wish you would have indicated that you had an amendment earlier. Now we've got to figure out whether to reconsider this item or not. Let me move on to the next item. Item 41, Mr. De Leon, you called this special for comments?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Just a couple things. One is for some of your council members. Some folks may or may not.
Members, can you mute yourselves, please? Because we can hear feedback. Sorry about that, Mr. De Leon. Go ahead.
No problem at all. Thank you very much, Madam President. Just a couple of things. One, for some of the newer members and our veteran members around the horseshoe are very well with this. Mr. Blumenfield is a co-author with me with regard to this motion, number 41. Obviously, Exide, which is adjacent to the community of Boyle Heights, an incredible, community. Exide, a battery plant that has since retired. What they've done to our community, quite frankly, is criminal. And that's why we are exhorting our state agencies, DTSC specifically, to make sure that they provide all the necessary resources, the funding, to make sure that we can clean up all of the properties that have been damaged and the health of our children who live in and around the Boyle Heights community. And it's not just within the city of LA, but it's also to Huntington Park and other communities adjacent to this facility in Vernon. This is one of the biggest environmental catastrophes that has impacted communities of color. I know that Flint, Michigan, with regards to the issue of water, has received a lot of national attention, but this is just as damaging, if not even more so. Unfortunately, with a lot of our media outlets, it just hasn't received the necessary attention to be elevated. It's right in our own backyard. We don't have to go to Flint, Michigan or elsewhere to find the economic devastation, the environmental catastrophes happening with our own communities of color, right here in our own hometown. So I want to thank my colleagues for their support with regards to this issue. It's been around for a very, very long time. And the communities that I represent, and I know all of my colleagues, throughout the city of LA, are in solidarity and support to make sure that what happened and is happening in Boyle Heights doesn't happen in their own backyards as well. So just wanted to share that. And Mr. Blumenfield, thank you very much, for your support as well too. We're looking forward to still lobbying and exhorting DTSC to make sure they provide us necessary funding. We're looking forward to working with our city attorney to make sure this becomes a reality. Thank you.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. De Leon. This is particularly, it resonates very strongly with me because as someone who represents equally a community that has had to endure a great deal of environmental injustice, the situation at Exide really reflects the dereliction of duty from the state and DTSC and just everybody working to make sure that communities of color are not subject to harsher environmental impacts in comparison to other communities throughout the city and throughout the state. It's been infuriating, and I know Ms. Martinez and her work and in her district has been equally challenged with some of the same environmental impacts. We're currently dealing with a variety of issues historically here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley that would be in kind similar to circumstances that have the same level of impacts to communities as Exide has. And so, want to thank you for keeping the attention on this very important issue. It is one that we need to be a constant beat of that drum to fight for environmental justice in our communities. And Exide is, for me, I think one of those really significant examples of how it just went silent for so long. And to continue to fight for the level of mitigation and protections to our communities is something that we all must be, we must stand in alignment and strong on consistently and not allow this level of, again, it's a complete dereliction of duty and responsibility to communities of color. And Exide is a sad example and reminder of that. But happy to support you in your continued effort and pursuit to make sure that the community is made whole with respect to this location and this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and vote on this item, Madam Clerk. Item 41.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. This item is adopted.
Okay, we're gonna go back to item 29. Mr. Price, you want us to reconsider?
Thank you,
You
Madam
want us
President. I'd like to reconsider.
Hold on for just a second,
item
sir.
29 for a technical amendment.
Sir, hold on for just a second. Mr. Cedillo, there's nothing a second yet. We're gonna have to vote to reconsider. Is that your request, Mr. Price?
Yes, yes, Madam President.
All right,
If we could
thank you.
reconsider 29 for a technical amendment.
Got it. Let's go ahead and take a vote on reconsideration. Please open the roll.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. This item is now before council.
Mr. Price, go ahead and make your technical amendment.
Thank you, Madam President and members. I'd like to amend recommendation 38 in the CAO's report to add the following: to instruct the CAO and BOE to evaluate the site for safe sleeping and report back with plans and funding recommendations.
Okay, and I believe Mr. Cedillo is ready to second that. Is that right, Mr. Cedillo?
Second.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and vote on this item as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. And this will be on the substitute motion Ridley Thomas Martinez as amended by motion Price Cedillo.
That's correct.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye. Martin.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon,
Aye.
Harris Dawson, Koretz,
Aye.
Krikorian,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
O'Farrell,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Rahman,
Yes.
Ridley Thomas,
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes, this item is adopted as amended.
Okay, let's move on to item 43. This was called special by Mr. Blumenfield for comments.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, this resolution calls on both the federal and state government to recognize a right to counsel for immigration matters, eviction, unlawful detainer matters, and other cases with life-altering outcomes, to provide funding for these important legal services. In 2009, when I was in the legislature, I was a strong proponent of our now city attorney's bill, the Sergeant Shriver Civil Counsel Act, which established a pilot program to appoint legal counsel to represent low-income parties in certain civil matters involving critical issues affecting basic human needs, and it did so by increasing different court fees to about $7.5 million a year to pay for these pilot projects. In fact, 5 of us on the council today, Mr. Krikorian, Price, De Leon, and Cedillo, voted for that bill in the legislature, and I believe all of us around this horseshoe would support those principles. There was a study in 2017 of that pilot that documented what I think is an obvious fact, that providing legal counsel resulted in fewer defaults and better outcome for clients. It improved court efficiency, facilitated settlements, helped prevent the need for additional government services. In short, it helped the clients, but it also helped government. In 2019, the legislature increased fees to provide additional funding, but the state's efforts still fall woefully short of meeting this need. The federal government appropriates only about $425 million per year to the Legal Services Corporation nationwide, which distributes that funding to legal assistance agencies throughout the country, including $49 million to California. Again, the federal government falls far short of meeting the need, especially in immigration cases where the federal government is actually initiating the legal proceedings against people. As in so many different areas, of when other level governments are not fulfilling their legal and moral obligation to the people they serve, our city steps in to fill that gap. And we've established a local justice fund to provide limited representation in immigration cases. And we did that in part to demonstrate to the Trump administration our opposition to their harsh and unfair immigration policies. And while that program has resulted in much better outcomes for the people that get representation, there's no reason that only Angelenos should get such representation, or frankly, that the cost of such a program should fall to local government. We are rightfully concerned about the wave of residential evictions when federal, state, and city eviction moratoriums expire. While we have provided some legal assistance and with the federal relief funds, we can't help everyone. Moreover, this is a regional problem, not a city problem. As we've discussed many times, the problems of homelessness in the city of LA is in large part due to housing and enforcement policies in other cities in the region. A wave of evictions in LA County's other 87 cities is going to add to our homeless problems in the streets of LA. We do not have the fiscal capacity to provide legal representation to all who need it, nor is that part of our core function. While the city of Los Angeles will continue to do what we can, and we step up when we can and we should, this resolution calls on the federal and state governments to recognize and fund a right to civil counsel in cases with life-altering outcomes. That's how it should ultimately be funded and should be. I ask for your aye vote on this resolution.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll on item 43.
Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin,
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino,
Aye.
Cedillo,
Aye.
De Leon,
Aye.
Harris Dawson, Koretz,
Aye.
Krikorian, Lee.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me.
Aye.
Krikorian, aye, thank you. Lee,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
O'Farrell,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Rahman,
Yes.
Ridley Thomas,
Aye.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
14 ayes, this item is adopted.
Okay, let's move on to item 47. This was amended by Mr. Ridley Thomas. Let's go ahead and vote on this item as amended. Please call the roll.
Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin,
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino,
Aye.
Cedillo, Cedillo,
Cedillo, aye.
De Leon,
Aye.
Harris Dawson, Koretz,
Aye.
Krikorian,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
O'Farrell,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Rahman,
Yes.
Ridley Thomas,
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes, this item is adopted as amended.
Okay, let's move on to item 32. This was called special. This was amended by Ms. Rodriguez, seconded by Mr. Buscaino, and also called special by Ms. Rahman. Ms. Rodriguez, would you like to speak on this item? Go ahead.
Yes, Madam President, thank you so much. Colleagues, the item before us calls for the expansion of Fire District 1 in order to better protect the growing multifamily housing stock in dense neighborhoods to achieve enhanced fire life safety. The Plum Committee heard this item over a year ago, and since then, the departments have convened and conducted preliminary review of the proposed expansion. The Public Safety Committee subsequently took the item and all the feedback from the departments, and I really want to thank Chief Crowley. I want to thank Building and Safety, the Planning Department, and my own Felicia Orozco for their incredible work to review the feasibility of the expansion of Fire District 1 into other areas of the city that share similar characteristics of the mentioned building code. Once that information comes back in report form, then the council can consider the implications and deliberate on the expansion before moving forward with the actual ordinance. And so again, I'd like to move that the Public Safety Committee report recommendations are what moves forward in this process. And I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Rahman?
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rodriguez, for your comments, and Councilmember Blumenfield for your leadership in this. I read your op-ed about your fears for your own communities after the Woolsey fire, and those really resonated with me, given how many hillside neighborhoods I represent, and the very real fears I hear from them when I meet with them and speak with them about what we have ahead in Los Angeles. So I am very grateful for your leadership on this. I just wanted to flag that one of the things I'm also concerned about is increasing affordable housing costs and expanding Fire District 1 to very dense multifamily areas where there isn't as much of a heightened fire risk. It might negatively impact our ability to build affordable housing here in Los Angeles. And so I'm really happy that that the Public Safety Committee is asking for a report that looks at the impact of this specifically on that issue. And I wanted to thank you both for that recommendation. And I hope that the report will really look at this implications of heavy timber, mass timber construction, which I think does both things. It has higher fire resistance ratings, and it's environmentally friendly, and it's cheaper and allows for this kind of construction. So I'm excited to look at the results of this study with you and to see how best we can take on this issue, which I think is really so important. And thank you both again.
Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Madam President. Thanks to the authors on this, and I echo Ms. Rahman's comments. Look forward to the outcome of this and the report backs. I do share the concern about the impact on affordable housing, but I like that the report backs are structured the way they are. Just wanted to ask if it would be considered a friendly amendment to ask the authors if we could ask planning when they report back to make a distinction between mass timber and the light wood frame and look at the viability of type 4.
It's fine for a report back on
Yeah,
mass timber. Yeah, that's fine
thank you very much.
for me.
Okay, that's been accepted by Mr. Blumenfield as a friendly. Thank you. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Bonin?
No, Madam President,
All right.
that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield.
Yeah, and by the way, this, as I see it, this motion does not have an impact on mass timber at all. It's, again, the main purpose of this is about fire safety. We have higher building standards in some parts of the city. Those parts of the city are known as Fire District 1. But the district hasn't been updated in 60 years, and there are parts of the city that have grown in density and fire risk, which is what Fire District 1 is supposed to deal with. The Fire District 1 standards only apply now to about 2% of the city, areas like downtown, Hollywood Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Highland, Wilshire, Beverly Fairfax, parts of Venice, and other areas. Requirements such as fire-treated wood and sprinklers, they slow down the fire. They haven't stopped construction, and they haven't made but they have made buildings safer. They haven't stopped making affordable housing. I and everyone else, we want to make sure we incentivize affordable housing, but this doesn't do anything and to stop that. I mean, I know people get concerned about labor costs, but that's already in affordable housing. You're going to be paying for labor anyway because it's government dollars, and frankly, that's not what drives the costs. The $70 million damage of the Da Vinci fire, the devastation of the Woolsey fire, they proved that construction materials matter. The Woolsey fire almost burned through my district. There was an LA County Woolsey after action report, and I spent a lot of time working with folks putting that together. It made it extremely clear about the exigent need to update our building standards and to prevent future losses from wildfires. This doesn't even update the standards. It just allows us to apply existing standards to areas that should be covered, dense areas in high fire severity zones. Climate change and higher density building make it essential to modernize our building structures. Reevaluating the areas where these Fire District 1 rules apply is a good first step. Again, the proposal before us merely asks the department to come back with a feasibility report about potentially expanding the district to another 2% of the city. 2%. An additional 2% on top of the current 2%, including the dense areas of my district that are in high fire severity zones. So with that, I ask for your aye vote.
Okay, members, let's go ahead and vote on this item. Item 32.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
Bonin.
Bonin, aye.
Buscaino.
Aye.
Cedillo.
Aye.
De Leon.
Aye.
Harris Dawson. Koretz.
Aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
O'Farrell.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Rahman.
Yes.
Ridley Thomas.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
14 ayes. This item is adopted as amended.
Okay, Madam Clerk, what's before us now?
Council has motions for posting and referral. Motions will be posted on the city clerk's website shortly after the meeting for the public's viewing. To subscribe to receive copies of today's council motions to your email, please visit clerk.lacity.org.
Okay, those are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Thank you. Members, are there any announcements? Let's start with announcements first. Okay, seeing now, we're going to move into adjourning motions. Mr. Ridley Thomas, do you have an adjourning motion, sir? Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Thank you, Madam President. There are two adjourning motions that I wish to call to the council's attention, namely the passing of an artistic treasure by the name of Roderick Sykes. He was one of the co-founders of St. Elmo Village, an extraordinary jewel in the city of Los Angeles. His passing was just the day before yesterday. And we mourn his passing and celebrate the forward movement of St. Elmo Village, located in the 10th district, but a clear asset for the entirety of the city of Los Angeles. And it should be noted that this is one of the areas in which the council has taken it upon itself to make an investment as we think about the issue of reimagining. They play an indispensable role in that regard because the arts matter. Additionally, Madam President, may I call to your attention the passing of Fred Calloway, icon in his own right, a major contributor and presence in the Lamert Park Village. Established himself as a significant force for good, opened what we know is as the Regency West, a social club, a gathering place, political spot where debates and candidate forums and a range of other activities have taken place for the last 25 plus years. Fred and his wife, Jeannie, were major contributors early on. She stood up with respect to the sexual assault crisis movement in our city. Found herself as one of the trainees at the Rosa Parks Sexual Assault Crisis Center. Their son, Dr. Tony Calloway, made his mark and contributed mightily in the context of working as a physician, healing, helping, contributing, and a proud Morehouse man. Daughter-in-law Vanessa Bell Calloway makes her contribution of consequence in the entertainment industry as well. And so this is the Calloway family, and the patriarch has gone home, as some of us would say, but his legacy is rich, form of his grandchildren and more. So a grateful community takes the opportunity to acknowledge with deep respect the passing of Fred Calloway. Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, today I'd like to adjourn in memory of one of our guiding elders from the Tongva Nation, Ms. Julia Bogany. Julia Bogany was a member of the Tongva tribe, served on their tribal council, and was their cultural consultant. Julia consistently leaned into her tribe, attending meetings, serving on boards, and teaching. She worked for over 30 years on behalf of the American Indian community and for her native Tongva Nation. She provided cultural guidance, Indian child welfare training and workshops in the Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Riverside areas. She also provided workshops in Sacramento for the California Rural Indian Health Board Women's Conferences. Julia also taught Tongva language and cultural classes. She attended many language workshops around the country to learn, strengthen, and enhance her tribe's language. She helped to reawaken and revive the Tongva language, as well as assemble a Tongva dictionary. She was vice president of the Keepers of Indigenous Ways, a nonprofit group of the Tongva. She taught basket weaving and also used it to teach math to youth. She was president of Residential Motivators, her own nonprofit consulting firm. Julia served on several committees and organizations: Community Health Worker for Mental Health, California Indian Education Association, Children Court Los Angeles Roundtable for ICWA, and ran co-ed and women's circles. She served as president of Curavanga Springs, a representative for California tribes along Route 66, a member of the California Native American College Board, and Pitzer College Elder in Residence. She taught Native culture and history and women's issues at Scripps, Pomona, Harvey Mudd, and the Claremont School of Theology. Ms. Bogany consulted with and trained teachers and school boards on how to revise their curriculum to reflect the accurate history of California and California tribes. She wanted to change the future for her tribe, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. This was her way of doing it. She cared for her great-grandchildren and taught them arts, crafts, language, and culture. All the work she's done for the past 30 years is for their future and for the future of her Tongva tribe. One of the most erased of all the indigenous tribes in California were the Tongva. Our city hall and civic center is built on historic Tongva land, but Julia somehow revived a language that was almost completely disappeared, and really played a major role in helping elevate the Tongva heritage and its history. And she also played a central role in the creation of Indigenous Peoples Day, working closely with the local Native American community across the entire spectrum, including with my office and our own city departments for that success. And here's a statement from Chrissy Castro, who is the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission. Chrissy is the chair of the commission. Julia Bogany was a well-respected Tongva elder, leader, and cultural educator. She was one of the most approachable, thoughtful, and endearing human beings to interact with, and was an absolute treasure in the Tongva, Native American, and Los Angeles communities. Julia gave generously of her time and knowledge and was always busy helping others, whether it was volunteering, teaching, attending meetings, or serving on boards. Julia was committed to preserving her tribe's cultural practices, language, and knowledge. Her passion, driven by her desire to give back to her community and ensure a better future for her tribe and future generations. She will be greatly missed. The Tongva Nation is devastated by her loss. She is and was a cultural icon. Her spirit will live on forever, and the spirits of her ancestors lived on through her. So may Julia Bogany rest in peace. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. Cedillo?
Madam President, January 25th, 1930, Margarito Solorio was born. He later immigrated from Jalisco, Mexico, and came to California, what is known as the Bracero program. As we all know, thousands and thousands of Mexicans immigrated north when our country was in a moment of great need, when our country was at war, participating in World War II. It is the Mexican immigrant who emerged as the leader in providing stability in the workforce and making sure that both our state and nation were well fed. Later, Mr. Solorio moved down to Los Angeles and moved to the Pico Union area of our city. Mr. Margarito Solorio married his wife, Josefina, and they were married for 50 years. Later in 1967, we recall the emergence of the Great Western Forum, built as the home to the Lakers, Clippers, Kings, professional tennis. Mr. Solorio joined the Great Western Forum team and led the efforts of the grounds maintenance. And all of you who were able to visit there for a game or a concert will recall how clean and how the forum just kind of emerged and stood out there. And he was part of that great effort. Later, after more than 30 years, he retired in 2000 and was able to devote the rest of his time to his love of his life, his wife, and his only daughter, Guadalupe. He was a parishioner in our district at St. Thomas, down on Pico, next to Loyola, and was very active in our community, could be seen everywhere. A really great sports enthusiast. You never saw him without one of the Laker, Kings, or Dodger caps. Just a person about town. He will be sorely missed by our community, his family, and his close friends. May he rest in peace. Gracias, Señor Margarito Solorio, por su servicio y por su buen vida. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Harris Dawson?
Thank you, Madam
Chair, I'd like to be with Mr. Ridley Thomas's permission added to Mr. Callaway's adjournment.
Without hesitation, Madam President.
Thank you. Any other adjourning motions, members? Seeing none, our meeting is adjourned.